All right, let's jump right in. When you think about the construction industry, you probably picture hard hats and steel beams, right? Well, that whole world is in the middle of a massive technological earthquake. We're talking about a fundamental shift from old-school clipboards to cutting-edge code, and it's all being driven by artificial intelligence. And believe me, this is not science fiction. It's happening right now, and it's changing the very way we build everything around us.
But here's the thing about a revolution like this. It raises a huge critical question. Is this new wave of AI going to lift all boats, creating massive opportunities for everyone, big and small? Or is it going to create this giant digital divide that leaves the smaller players, the local, family-owned construction firms, struggling to even survive? That's the core tension we're really going to unpack here.
Okay, so first things first, how exactly is AI changing the game? I mean, what does this look like on the ground? And let me tell you, it is way more than just some fancy new software. We're talking about a complete and total overhaul of project management as we know it.
Just think for a second about how construction projects used to be run. It was all paperwork, right? Manual reports, messages getting lost between teams, and a whole lot of reacting to problems after they'd already happened. The old way was all about putting out fires. But the new way? It's the complete opposite. It's proactive. It's driven by data, with AI coordinating everything and everyone in real time. The whole game is shifted from firefighting to fire prevention.
And that brings us to this core idea, AI-driven project management. Really, it's all about using these smart, integrated systems to automate and optimize literally everything, from the very first architectural sketch all the way to the final nail being hammered in. It's not just one tool, it's a whole ecosystem of tech working together.
So, what can this stuff actually do? Well, get this. AI can use drones to automatically fly over a job site and track progress. It can analyze mountains of data to predict cost overruns before they even happen. It can even create what's called a digital twin, a perfect virtual replica of a building, so you can test everything and spot problems in the simulation before they happen in the real world. These are not just small upgrades, these are basically superpowers for project managers.
But, and this is a big but, as amazing as all this technology sounds, it's a real double-edged sword. For small and medium-sized businesses, what the industry calls SMMEs, this tech presents two very, very different potential futures.
And this quote right here really nails the central argument from our source material. The outcome here isn't just about who has the coolest new app. Not at all. It's about how this technology interacts with everything else, access to financing, the way contracts are awarded, and the kind of support systems we build or fail to build for these smaller businesses.
This all creates what researchers call a developmental contradiction. It's a fancy term for a fundamental conflict. See, on one hand, AI could totally level the playing field and make every single company more efficient. But on the other hand, if we're not careful, the costs and complexity could get so high that it creates a two-tiered industry. You've got the digital haves and the digital have-nots. So ultimately, we're standing at a fork in the road. One path leads to an inclusive future, where this tech creates shared benefits and makes the whole industry better. The other path leads to an exclusionary one, where the smaller firms get locked into low-profit jobs while a few giant tech-savvy companies dominate the market. The choice of which path we take is up to us.
Now, to understand how to choose that right path, we first have to figure out what the real problem is. Why is it so hard for small businesses to get on board with all this? As it turns out, it's about way more than just being able to afford new software.
And this table does a fantastic job of showing you just how interconnected these barriers are. Financially, small businesses just don't have the cash to invest. Institutionally, banks often look at them as too risky for a big tech loan. Then you have the capability problem. They might not have the in-house training. And on top of all that, if clients aren't asking for it, there's no market incentive to change. It's a really complex web of challenges.
So to overcome all that, you have to build 4 key things, almost like legs on a table. First, you just need basic access to the technology. Then comes digital literacy, the skills to actually use it effectively. After that, you need the capability to manage your data, because data is the fuel for AI. And finally, you have to integrate all these different tools so they work together as one cohesive system. You need all 4 for it to work.
Okay, so that's the problem. But is anyone actually getting this right? The answer is a big yes. So let's pivot to a more hopeful note and look at some actual blueprints for success from around the globe.
So, let's take the United Kingdom. The government did something really smart there. They used their own purchasing power as a giant lever.
They mandated that all major public projects had to use modern digital tools. Suddenly, the entire industry had a huge incentive to upgrade. And, this is the critical part, they paired that mandate with support programs specifically to help small businesses make the transition.
Now look at Singapore. They took this incredibly coordinated approach. They didn't just create a new policy and hope for the best. No, they integrated everything. They connected the policy with financing, giving out grants for tech adoption, and with skills development. And when your regulations, your money, and your training are all pointing in the same direction, change happens fast.
Germany's success came from a slightly different angle. They embedded this digital push into their already strong framework for supporting small businesses. They used their powerful industry associations and existing policies to help smaller construction firms go digital. This made it feel like a natural evolution, not some sudden, scary shock to the system.
So if you synthesize these lessons from all over the world, 3 clear patterns just pop right out. Number 1, procurement. How big clients, especially governments, buy things is a primary driver of change. Number 2, financing is the critical enabler that makes it all possible. And number 3, the biggest roadblock is often just a lack of coordination between government, finance, and the industry itself. Get those 3 things right, and you've got a winning formula.
So let's bring this all home. With these lessons in mind, how do we actually build that inclusive future we talked about? What's the keystone that holds the whole structure together?
This quote highlights the huge strategic shift that's needed. The goal here is not for AI to replace people doing administrative tasks. The goal is to automate those tasks so that people can focus on higher-value work, the things humans are great at, like complex problem-solving, strategic judgment, and negotiation. It's about a deliberate investment in people just as much as an investment in technology.
And when you boil it all down, it comes back to 2 incredibly powerful levers: how we design our procurement processes and contracts, and how we channel financing for this technology. These are the policy choices that will ultimately determine whether AI becomes a tool for widespread growth or a wedge that just deepens inequality.
The technology is here. It's ready to go, and it's getting more powerful every single day. So the real question we have to ask isn't a technical one anymore. It's a choice about our values. It's a human choice. So, what kind of future are we choosing to build with it?